gentleman asked a good question. He was like, okay, so I asked a general idea, how do we teach foot sweeps? I should have been more specific. What about something like, you say Ouchi or Osoto?
Osoto.
Osoto guard. Now, there's something important I want to say here. An Osoto guard is something specific that happens, which I'll show in a second because you don't know the judo language. A specific way to get a body to move. My question is it necessary? In our sport, submission grappling, I need to put somebody on the floor while being resisting being put on the floor myself. That's it. An osotogari is a way we've historically seen people throw bodies to go to the floor. There's nothing wrong with teaching it specifically or trying to get people to do it. But the question is it necessary? Is the juice worth the squeeze? So just for your mind, an osotogari is a major outside reap. All this means is we're reaping across our partner's body, we're hooking on that leg, and we're throwing it to the mat. So if you wanted to expose someone to something specific like that, if you thought it was necessary for your program, you treat it like any other condition. What needs to be present in the osotogari to make it possible? If I wanted to be very specific, I would start with that as an option. So maybe even starting with something like overhook, underhook, and I have the other arm. My job is to start with my leg on the outside and only keep it there. So my partners are trying to take their leg out. My only job is to try to follow it around. And when I lose it, we switch. Here we go again. How would I scale that back after that initial exposure? We started there. What do you think I might have people do next?
Get into it.
And now you have a general idea. Start and then you back away. That's the easiest way I could get you guys started with something like that, if I wanted to be that highly specific. Put people in this situation with the condition fulfilled to make it possible, and let them either stay there or use that condition to create an effect, i.e. throw them down onto their back. And then you give the other player something to do that directly countered it, so they had to stay within that situation for longer to create an outcome. Does that make sense to you, sir?
100%.
Now what I'd like to do is like to give each person, whoever wants to engage, to ask, I'll create 2 games for you and show you how we scale it. So we saw how we get foot sweeps to happen, right? General experience, move your partner around, make touches. Specific experience, use a specific leg for a specific outcome.
Can we go over ankle locking?
Ankle locking specifically, sure. You guys good with that? Yeah. Great. Okay, so we're going to start first without the idea of an entanglement because it's not required for straight ankles. So understanding the conditions that need to be present for the thing to happen. So in the simplest sense, in order for me to break your ankle, I have to be able to keep a hold of it. All right? So we're going to start in a simple situation where I've got both my partner's ankles, 1, 2, and my feet are just in front of me. You can kind of put them anywhere in front of your partner. My only job is to stay here as long as I can, keeping at least one ankle. I cannot lose this thing. I've got to keep my arm wrapped around the ankle for as long as possible. You can do what you want with your feet, if you do have exposure to entanglement, feel free. If you only know how to just keep your feet on something, that's fine, it doesn't matter. Just keep your partner's ankle for as long as possible. If you start to lose one, you may switch to the other to continue the game. And again, as long as you have it in some capacity, you continue to fight. If you lose in both, you lose the game. The defending player can free their ankle any way they would like, either by running away or getting on top and just freeing their ankle. Come up. So again, attacking player, hold at least one ankle for as long as possible. You can switch between them to not lose them, hold them with any grip. Defending player, get your ankles free. Every time defending player frees himself, change. Who's starting with control? Start again. Easy enough? All right, let's go.
This is jujitsu. Sitting on our ass. Let's fucking go. Here, you have. I have those positions.
No, actually.
No, I have my ankle is free from the. Yeah, you, as long as you've got a grip on it, as long as you still have hold, he doesn't even have to be on your line. This right here, we're still going.
You're just free, like
you have to completely free your own.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, you're good. So the framework.
Check.
So you're finally free to unload.
That's back and you gotta come up to the back.
Yeah, straight into something.
Best thing ever.
Yeah.
He's using his connection, moving in this way, so we're starting those connections and I'm trying to move in this way. So he's married, so that's
I like it.
So one. Go 3-1. 3-1. It's like my aim, and you just give him a actual item that could be a possibility how to use it. So we play a zero-sum game. Yes, sir. If you're doing something that I need to do. Let's say Uber Athletics. Now look.
That's a start.
I also wouldn't just hang out here.
Believe me, I'd be going for subs right now if I could. Threaten this up. I don't care. I'll react.
I'll react. You're.
One person that's further from me. And so in any given round, how we situate each other to get so like for example, if I like and you want to change aggressive and I'm just engaged, then I would need to get make it back.
Ready?
So rather than have you flee, you create a thing where I wanted to play and I think so it keeps them in a situation where they're also working on aggressive and becoming the attack. And so trying to find
didn't realize we're gonna break that much of a sweat. My wife made me go to CrossFit with her this morning. Oh no way! It's not even that extra one. Oh my god! Ready? Yeah. Let's go.
And you have reminders every now and then. Hey guys, we're out here now. I'm also very solid. So like let's say this guy, and the other guy goes too hard, that guy gets pissed, and now you're a problem. You're not with each other, you're gonna go other guy. I don't, we want our words to do more than they do. Yeah. Got time for that?
Thank you, Drew. That's a workout.
You got good.
What do you like? You don't just settle, you grab. You're
Yeah.
always gripping.
It's from Filipino martial arts. Stick fighting. Because you lock the stick, grab the wrist.
You're always.
Kind of like when you turn it away.
Just a general thought before we move on, and this is people for people designing their own practice, or people who practice design for a whole group. Don't start off worrying about being right or wrong. Just start off with an experience. What experience we need to have to even start doing something that even looks like what we're trying to accomplish. So just in the last case, I don't know the level of this room, but if I were to teach you guys straight ankle locks, I would start with your ability to hold on to an ankle. If you can't hold on to an ankle under resistance, guess what you can never do? I don't care about your foot position initially. I don't care about the grip you're using initially. I just imagine if you guys were all new, I need to give you the experience of holding on to an ankle. Based on the results of that, we can whittle it down to tasks and objectives that get you more clearly focused on trying to solve the problem of keeping ankles. Does that make sense to you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? 1 second before you go. Questions, comments, or expressions about the experience you just had? Anything at all? Yeah.
One of the things that we were getting stuck on a lot is once the figure 4 was locked up, breaking out of that became really difficult.
Good.
And it kind of felt like no matter what direction it was on, whether it was like behind the bot or like on the outside and behind the back, it just led to this position where the person who was defending is like reaching back and very exposed the entire time.
Yeah.
How do you deal with when they're locking up a figure 4 and just kind of willing to rotate and hold onto your ankle the entire time?
Nothing, I let it happen, because that's what we're trying to do right now. So we can't solve every problem you'll ever have all at once. We solve the ones that you're currently having. I've said this a million times, you don't solve problems we're not yet having. So in this case, like I said, we're trying to learn straight ankles, right? So can we hold on to an ankle? So if your buddy figure 4'd you, hell yeah, good job, man, you solved the problem. If that came later to punish them, and it was maladaptive, then we would look at it differently and give them something else to do. But if the goal is to hold the ankle and he's doing it, leave it alone. Yeah. Did you have one? I saw you kind of were like,
In a situation where, some people are inexperienced with leg locks, so some people will start reaping right away. I know I've seen some of your videos where you don't allow them to stand up.
Yeah.
In like a variable situation like that, would you put that constraint on top
Sure.
of that, just to be mindful?
typically, like when I've done a seminar, most people have grappling experience, so I typically don't stop them when I'm out in public. Most of you guys have been face reaps at least. But, and we can talk about that. If the reaping is really dangerous when the foot is held still. So when someone stands up, I'll just show you guys what he's asking about in case there is a person who doesn't know. So consider your butt from me first. Sorry, consider your butt from me first. Oh, yeah. A reap is basically when we take a leg from the outside of the leg and we thread it to the middle and we turn the knee. This isn't terrible when we're grounded because he still has the ability to rotate because his foot is free. However, when he's standing, especially when you're new and you don't realize what you're in, because the foot is weighted, this can cause some injury at the knee if not dealt with properly. So when we first start beginners with this, we don't allow them to stand up during situations where reaping is a possibility. So we start them grounded, we expose them to reaping in one way or another, and we typically start with a behavior like, we can't stand up until the feet are not on us. So he would have to take my feet off first before he stood up. And then once he stands, bottom player, I cannot bring my foot back in the center anymore. And so we start with a simple behavior like that to help reduce the possibility of injury while exposing students to tactics that could solve that problem effectively. So in the future, they won't ever face it. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. Anyone else have anything you want to ask about the situation before we move on to trying to make a part of that? Yeah. Okay. So now let's move on to how we would get tapping right away, even if we're doing it wrong. We start off with the big idea. What's the relationship between these two things? So I created a framework to help people who want to create practice use this. We say we play the game of immobilization as it leads to strangulation and breaking. So if I want to break somebody's ankle, I have to hold a part of the leg very still so that ankle becomes breakable. Different submissions require different parts of stillness. For the straight ankle, we need the knee not to move. If the knee can't move, it's very difficult to resist the pressure we're putting on the ankle. So we use that as a focus. So we're starting the same way we did before with both ankles. Now, I'm going to give you two options to interact with the knee. So one is cover the knee. So what I mean by this is use your legs in any direction to cover your partner's knee. The other would be turn your partner's knee to the floor and keep it there. Once you have the knee on the floor, or you have it covered, keep it covered, hold them still, and try to stretch your partner's toes out as hard as you can until they tap. Keep the ankle, cover the knee, or put it on the floor. Once you have the two conditions, straighten your partner's toes as hard as you can, not as fast as you can. As hard as you can until they tap. Defending player, pull your ankles free just like before. One other small thing to let you guys go. Verbalize your tap. Stop using your hands. Tap it, tap! That moves faster. And it scares me. Oh my God. You're less likely to get hurt. Cool? Any questions? Let's get it. Oh, no. I'm going to get first. You guys have injuries, you don't have to do this. Your feet hurt or some shit.
You know what? I might as well get a little recording.
Sure, we starting double?
Same thing.
So like your knees gonna go.
Yeah, got it.
Right. You don't want to go the other day. Right. So then we just give you something. Yeah. We were like keeping like you could add a moment where you letting go made you vulnerable and it gave him the opportunity to escape. Fine. You risk it.
Well, that probably means I'm not going to record anymore. At least I'll let everybody know if it's instructions for recording and battery. So this.
And the degree in which you let that not their experience. So we want to find a different way to make it possible for the escape without you being you're right. So switching lanes into a great idea. Or you're just so good that you can't move. You like switch me to
I like the framing.
You know what I mean?
Okay, that helps me a lot. Thank you.
Guys, yeah, you need me, just call my name. I'll come over to you.
Sorry.
You'll know when.
Ready? Go.
That's nice. Even just turning, even you turning down that one.
I didn't feel, I didn't start one because I didn't feel like I was part of that. So that's interesting.
Yeah, just progressive. All right, ready? Yeah.
Ready? Go.
As soon as we turned over, almost.
As soon as you collected my knee on the ground, I had nowhere else to go.
Ready?
It's a huge seat. Yep.
Ready?
You made it tougher. We're like, every time we're doing it, way to sleep.
to left. But that is, if you can always have an ankle, you can always make something of it. Ready, go. Let's go.
Okay, who am I will try to get, you go. Try your own best.
Almost immobilized me. Well, you didn't have the knee, but you had you laid on top of my body, which basically immobilized me. I get caught by that from one of our guys. Very, very strong.
Time, guys, relax. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit to give you a second to catch your breath, and then we'll move on. So just to reframe what we've done so far. So far, we've done 4 different situations. The first 2 were based on the idea of how do I start to teach foot sweeping. We looked at it based on starting with the connection to move players around and giving them an opportunity to make what makes foot sweeps work, which is foot-to-foot contact while moving around. We started off generally, then we got more specific. Only use one leg, try to put the knee, butt, or back. Other player lock hands lift. So we created those tasks because they interact with each other to make both possible. As my hips get closer, foot sweeping becomes more possible, but lifting also becomes more punishable. So by putting those 2 things together, we gave the experience that makes this stuff happen. Now for the first 2, did that make sense to you? Could you see and understand why we put it that way? Now, and the second one was, how do I teach straight ankles? Well, we started with by keeping the ankle, starting with a grip that we could eventually break with. And then the second game, we added in stillness. We gave 2 task focuses that allowed us to keep our partner still while applying pressure to the ankle. Same thing as this foot sweeping game. We put them in a situation where it was possible and gave them tasks that interacted in such a way where it became a possibility. Does that make sense to you guys? Now, seriously, most of you guys come from CLA gyms or people who are attempting to use it? Yeah? Now, could you, seriously, like as learners, could you imagine this being day 1 and then doing this for 6 months? What would happen, do you think, if you touched a white belt from a school who'd never done anything like this? You would cook them. It wouldn't even be competitive. All this pushing, pulling, sweating, getting tired, figuring things out, day 1 does so much. Think about it. We got you to do so many behaviors. I barely said anything about what the behaviors were. Anyway, just something to consider as we move on. Do you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, or impressions about the experience you've had so far? Anything that you're curious about or that interests you or that confuses you? Yes, sir.
I think that you did a post about challenge point.
Yes, sir.
Is there a way you can elaborate that?
Yeah. Challenge point is the point at which you fail. So your attempts just don't work. There's like a little bit below that where it works most of the time, and people love to stay there. That feels real good. The ego loves it. There's a point where it's like, God, I can't make anything work. We have to find that. Now it's different for everybody, like I said in the video. Sometimes it's just, I can't handle fatigue. Other times I can't handle this guy. Or it's, this technique makes no sense to me. Finding what those are that's how close you put yourself each time you practice. So like if fatigue is a problem, every day your training really is about fatigue management, trying to deal with it. If it's about guard passing, then every day you should be trying to get on top of somebody trying to get past their legs. You know, find that moment of failure and live in it. Simple as that. Anything else?
That seems like an easy way to, or I don't know if I've heard it put that way, to identify what people should be working on.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it.
And I see it all the time because I get guys who come in with skills already that are actually pretty good. You know, they're attracted to our brand and they want, I want to do a standard, and they come in with a great leg lock. I can't get those dudes to wrestle, and I'm like, and it's not because they can't, it's because they're losing. They'll come in and train with the guys who train with a year and get knee tapped over and over again, and they just go right back to their dog. So, yeah, so trying to get people to see, like, hey, that area of failure is a good thing. That's where we should be spending our time, because that's going to be a hole that someone can exploit.
To that point, like, do you have anything to say on that, on like specificity versus generalization?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's about the athlete themselves. So, guys, in case you don't know, I know some of this language sucks, but generalization just means like your ability to play the whole game in any way, from feet to floor, right? Specificity is the very specific thing you do, like, oh, I use underhook throw bys to get behind people, right? And so we all live on a spectrum somewhere here. We start with general practice for new players. We want a big breadth of experience. We want new players to have something to do on the feet, something to do in guards, something to do in pins. So that way, when the coach isn't there, they're doing a regular round, they kind of know how to explore the whole space. As we get better, we start to become more specific. Joe over here loves to get behind elbows. So we're gonna teach Joe how to get behind elbows in every situation. And he's gonna start training specifically to get good at that. But then once he can, and he wants to do something else, we start generally again. And then we go back in specifically over time. If I get an advanced guy who comes in with a high skill set already, we turn his practice more generally. We force him to go back and start doing some of the things he may have avoided, just to see how he engages with outside of his area of specialization. And then we use that to determine where we might want to go next. So I don't know if that helps you, but
Yeah,
that's
that's good.
kind of how I look at it.
Specifically with a high skill player, that is interesting, you turn generalization. Yeah.
And some players it works magic on. Like two players specifically, DeAndre specifically,
Right.
when I took him from like kind of just a mess and made him like a specified generalist, meaning in all positions do the same thing, he turned into a different human being. Like he became, like in 6-7 months, it was incredible how much skill he produced. And then a guy, Sid Talalaro, we call him Sid Vicious. Sid Vicious came from 10 Planet School with a great close guard skill set and a really great leg locking skill set. Now he can wrestle and pass and back take, and we made him very general as well, and it did wonders for him. So, but again, every athlete's different. What technique do you want to turn it into task next? Yes, sir.
Yeah, back, like rear naked chokes.
Oh, fantastic.
While my hand back and guy is keeping. What's a good, yeah.
Okay, so you want people to strangle from the back?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so we'll first start. Maybe throw each other, maybe break each other's ankle. Now we're strangling each other. I hate this. Now we're going to put ourselves as close to the solution as we can without allowing strangulation to take place. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the hooks already in. We're going to start with chest to back contact, and we're going to start with an arm already around the neck. So with the arm around the neck, your palm is going to be on your partner's back. Your only goal is to keep your palm on your partner's back for as long as you can. Defending player has 2 ways to win the game. Get 2 hands on the hand that's around the neck and pull it down. So both hands have to be on it, and they have to pull your arm straight. Just get straight in front, it's fine. Yeah, once it's pulled straight, that's a win. The other way they win the game is to put their back on the mat. So he puts his back, turns, his back goes flat, he wins the game. Okay, my only job is to keep my hand on the back specifically. I can use my other hand however I need to keep his hands off, and I need to keep my chest on his back no matter where he goes for as long as I can. Easy enough? Again, attacking player, you can't win. Yes, sir?
No connecting your hands.
No, yes, sorry, thank you. You cannot. Lost. You're not trying to submit your partner. You're just trying to stay connected in the position that we started in. At any time, if you feel like you're getting dizzy, you're going to tap, just step out. All right? Please don't purposely try to do that to your partner. All right? Yeah, so no connections, please. Any questions? Let's go.
That's a good question. Do I have a hand or?
Keep the back off the mat, too. You got to do both things.
Are they allowed to body triangle?
They can do whatever they want as long as they don't strangle you.
Okay. Ready?
Did you rupture your bicep, man? I ruptured my bicep last year. It's terrible. I just did it twice as well.
3 weeks.
I'm going to tell you something controversial.
Even though that it's hard for me to turn out.
That's one of my favorite special questions.
What? When they're back on the mat?
Yeah, it's here.
You're kidding.
Cast off.
And I think you're trying to get the line
Oh,
just over. I'm trying to get the two hands just straight up there.
I can't win.
Yes, but you're trying to keep the one
I
on
don't know what you call it, but I'm just gonna come
Okay,
out.
okay. That makes sense.
Talk about this.
I think you were under my leg.
Or like right here. Right here, or like, oh, right here.
You were like,
Yeah. It's just when you lose the hook, you gotta still control the hips some. You can do this or you can do this. Because I'm trying to stop the rotation. Yeah. Whether it's this or this. You know. If I have it, I'm gonna do this. That's like straight. So then you'll open up your leg. You know, I'm like, what I can do.
I got healed. I was downstairs moving I had this like covering thing on my base.
So that, yeah, you want to pull it down.
I didn't run very good. So I didn't have to
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, you get to start with that.
Yeah, ready?
I was holding on to his foot, and he reached up and grabbed my elbow. It was 5 minutes in, I was just like holding my foot, and I was trying to pull my arm off. I just ripped, and I just used my wrist.
I know, like, you have a little basket in there. How did this experience the hard?
Nice.
Yeah, so you're
Right there. You ready?
Guys, don't let your partner get to your hand. Defend your hand. Don't let them get it. Protect your hand. Don't let them get to it. Keep your chest on their back. Use your legs however you want.
Oh, I did it again. God damn it.
Inside, open up that
Not API, but a lot of a little bit of stuff I did when I get choke style. You know, this positional.
beautiful.
Okay.
I think that was all my own.
Ready?
At the same time, you couldn't choke. I took my hands a couple times, but you just locked it up. Yeah.
This is probably like a normal class for you guys.
Yeah, some of you so many as that.
It's time to relax.
Nice to meet you.
It's just like the thing you say after you say your name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Let me see if you guys are on the same page with me. I want some of you guys to engage with me, please. So the question was, is how do we work on maintaining the back while working towards the strangle? So we started with continuous condition for the attacking player. We had to keep the hand on the back and maintain chest to back contact. We had the defending players that put the back on the mat or get two hands and straighten the arm. I'm going to give some insight on why we started there. And now, by the way, if this were day one basics class and we were teaching strangles from the back, this is where we would start. Why do we do this?
Like you said, your framework, we wanted to immobilize our partner so that we need strangulation or break. So already starting at the end of the mind, we're already close. It's just if we want to attack, connect, start squeezing, right?
Very good. We start them as close to the solution as possible, with all the conditions met to make that solution possible. Why do we start with just a hand on the back? What does that help? If you were a new student, what do you think that would help you experience? Why do you think that would be important?
Choke movement?
What's that one?
Near the choke movement?
It's near it, yeah, but be more specific. Like when you're there, like what's specific about the choke? What do we all say makes up a good strangle? What do we need?
The hands.
Well, its function is to compress both arteries. So already having our hand there is already touching those arteries.
Yes. The hand acts as a clear line of demarcation that new students can experience. We know when our hand is somewhere and when it's not. So rather than having something nebulous like double closure, lovely point of analysis, but for a new player, it's meaningless. New players only know they have hands and where do I put them. And so if you give them an area where they can put their hand that achieves the abstract concept that we want our students to look for, then they can learn it without ever knowing. Does that make sense? So that hand acts as a clear line. Okay, I'm in where I'm supposed to be. You guys have anything you want to ask or talk about as it relates to that at all before we move on? Yes?
Do something about passing.
Yeah, we can move that after this last one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah?
Wanna-
Of course, you jump in. I want to pass, me too. All right, so let's get this last one out the way for you, and then we'll move on to passing, and then that'll probably, we'll call it effect, because you guys get pretty smoked, and then we can open it up to whatever you guys want. So anyway, now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to give a weight condition, but we're going to reduce the control. Because we still want chest to back contact to be a focus. We want to challenge that. And we want to give them an endpoint strangulation, which you asked about. So we'll do both at the same time. So we'll start in the exact same position, sort of, but we won't have hooks. And rather than having our strangle arm be around the neck, we're going to have it in the armpit. So underneath your opponent's arm is where it's going to start. So attacking player, you have one main focus that you need to achieve at all times. Keep your chest on their back. No matter where they go, you must keep your chest on their back. If all else fails, do that. To win the game, we need to do two things. Both our feet need to cover the hips in some way. I don't care how you do it. And I have to take my hand from under his armpit. I have to put it on his back. And then I have to lock it into the bend of my arm. I don't have to finish. I just have to lock it into the bend of my arm. Defending player, all you have to do is turn to face or put your back on the mat. Turn to face means look at your partner. If your partner's looking at you, she's lost. All right? Any questions?
Sorry, can
Yeah,
you
sure.
show us like the start point?
Oh yeah, we're starting just like that. So rather than around the neck, we're going to be around the neck and under the armpit. Oh,
Yes. Thank you. Okay.
yeah.
No hooks.
No hooks. That's right. Look at me. Look, use your eyes. Where we're starting. I'm going to show you where we have to be to win. I don't like words either. Let's go.
Sorry.
Alrighty. Want to do it first? Okay, ready? And then you gotta start using
Now we do switch parts now.
Pulling the string.
You look straight in the arm.
Ready? Yep.
You right?
People gonna get hooked on it.
You notice what I'm doing? I'm designing a connection for the hand connection. So you have this, right? But you want to do something else. Then so I want to, yeah. I still got connection with money. Yeah.
Are you like in the top?
I was checking my hands. Nice.
There we go.
Ready? Go.
That's when back.
I think you should get started with it. I started with the last time. That's unfair.
Okay, guys, just your mind. Give me a second. I'll talk to you guys. You can catch your breath and breathe. But the last two are going to be centered around passing. But before we get there, is there anything you'd like to ask about this experience you just had? Anything about the starting points, the task, the objective, any conditions you set? Is there anything you'd like to understand more? Yes, sir.
How do you kind of deal with, like, as you go outside the parameters, if you're opening yourself up to other stuff?
Yeah.
Would you just generalize, like, any submissions from the back? Like, if you're defending well, but then giving the arm guard kind of thing?
Defending well, and giving your arm back. Be more specific.
Like, just now, like, if you're able to kind of slip out, but they still have, like, an easy arm guard?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? Just kind of, like, opening up the scope?
So the thing is we have to let you solve one problem before we present another, because that's how it works in reality, right? that's really the issue with being a beginner. For example, it's hard for you to beat up from more advanced because you can't solve the problem at the rate in which they can. So when we're dealing with scaling, we start with simple problems like, can you turn and face your partner? Can you put your back on the mat? It doesn't matter what else you leave open because we need to get you to start doing something. And then if we want to expose people to deeper problems, we might do something like this. So if you put your back on the mat, you can't have anything underneath your elbows. And so let's say, for example, my partner puts their back on the mat and you don't want this, an arm lock, a head and arm strangle, something like that. This wouldn't be the win condition anymore. The win condition would be they would have to get their elbows to their body and to the floor. So that way there's no possibility of strangulation or arm lock being present. So for me, it would be continuous as long as I stayed under one elbow. And being under one elbow, it wouldn't matter what part of my body I stayed under with. As long as I stayed under, I can continue to fight. So we would just take that condition that made submissions possible, and we'd string it through the exchange. The defender would have to solve it before the situation ended. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
But we wouldn't start with that really, because we want basic rotation to be the problem we solve first, right? As new players, information, as you guys know, can be overwhelming. Not just the coach yapping at you, but for all the stuff that's happening to you. And when you combine all the talking with all the doing, man, it's a mountain. Yeah, well,
I felt like it was like super hard to get the hooks in. What's your go-to approach?
well, you have to define the problem. So anytime we have a struggle, whether it be a struggle within the whole class or with a specific student, we need to identify what the problem is. So let's say you came to me and said, hey coach, man, I can't get the hooks in. Yeah, it's hard, man, why? You know, you would have to define to me exactly what was stopping you. Because if I didn't know what hard means, yeah, this shit's real hard. But what do you mean? You know what I mean? Why is it hard for you? And then we would just see what the problem might be based on you being able to explain it to me, and then we would change the task focus to help solve it. So here's one way we could do it. I'm guessing that you putting the hooks in was difficult because their hands were grabbing it? Yeah?
Yeah.
So how do we get the hands to do something else? So we added the lock as the win condition. I didn't say that you had to have the hooks in first. You know? If we get the situation where there's no straight. What did you say? So if we lock it, the hands come, and when the hands come up, or we add in the submission, so if he doesn't, yeah, he's got to bring his hands up sometime. You know what I mean? So we need to add something in that makes the hands move, or punishes the hands from being down on the feet. So just opening up the submission would solve that problem. Hooks are a feature, but they're not necessary.
This is more of a generalized question. Here we're switching on win condition. When are you switching on win condition, or when are you keeping somebody in the same place for the whole 5-minute round or whatever?
So typically, the way I catalog the games I create are either continuous or terminal. Terminal, which means there's an endpoint and we switch. Rarely would I do a continuous situation for both players. It's very, very, very fatiguing. Typically, I would have one player play continuously and one player play terminal, meaning one player's win always resets it or changes top to bottom. I rarely will have you stay in the same position the whole time or the whole class. Your partner may force that upon you, and that's just a tough day for you, but it's not designed that way. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
We want variation, we want switching, we want things to change. We don't want to keep someone there over and over and over again. We prefer frequency over volume, meaning if you want students to have a lot of chest to back experience, we don't worry about how much they have in a single day. We worry instead how much they have in a week, a month. So doing 2 rounds of chest to back every day for a month, that's a lot. But doing an hour of chest to back is too much. You know? Anything else? All right. We'll do one more set. That's 12 more minutes worth of work. And then you guys can tell your friends how hard jiu-jitsu is. So we're going to start in a guarded situation where the knees are in the way. I talked to the young lady, she said it's very difficult for her to get the knees out of the way in order to reach her outcomes. So we're going to start with our partner in the half guard. Half guard is just defined as 2 legs wrapping around one. This specifically, we're going to have both knees in the way. So my job as the top player is to get to my feet and take my leg out in the center and get them to the outside of my partner's knees. That's it. Bottom player is trying to keep me trapped in between both their feet for as long as they can, whether I'm on my knees or I'm standing. He wants to try to keep two legs interacting with one. Now, I'm gonna give this person two ways to win this exchange. So go back. First is before I stand. If the bottom player can wrap both their legs around my waist, I lose. If I stand on my feet and I'm working to the outside, but he makes me fall and hit my butt, I lose. My only job, like I said, is to stand up, take my leg out of the middle any way I can, get to the outside of my partner's feet. It doesn't matter, you can exist anywhere, but once you're on the outside of your partner's feet, you win the game. Easy enough. Top to bottom every time somebody wins. Let's go. Say what? You can do anything you want to do to reach your elbow.
Actually, I want to record some of this.
You go start, 'cause my glasses are still on.
All right. Ready?
I know you're right.
Once you get outside the room, don't rush that ball. I don't know why.
Honestly, well, you could have told me that you were trained the whole time.
Well, that's it. All right.
I only came back with
That's fine. That's, you still
Ready?
sometimes when you constrain the condition so much, it opens up other stuff. So that's just part of the solution. All right. Ready? You can hold on to me if you want. Ready? Go.
I gotta watch it. I know, right? Oh, yeah. Silly little me. I'm like,
I gotta get outside your chest. All right.
I just got your headphones.
No.
You right knee, high step, and ballerina pose. High step out. Yeah, or bring the knees in. Straight up. That's right. Ballerina toes? No, yeah, that, and then straight up to the sky, to your chest, right there. No worries.
I feel like the next one, I feel like, oh, I'm just kind of stuck. I'm gonna have to break that.
Yeah, so like, Dan, it's over. If you're holding on to it, I might find a way to, there's different ways to trim my knee.
Ready? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick.
It's not like it is. Never done that.
I don't do you ever. That's it. saw film once and I was like, I can get stuck in this thing here for 10 minutes, so if I try. All right, but.
Maybe some rolling. Third hour, there is a ready? Yep.
Now guys, relax. Need a break. And we have one more.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Now as you guys are getting your water and resting for our last one, I'll just reframe this, just because you didn't hear a question, I guess. So before I asked her before I had this game start, she said, I had a difficult time with the knees being in front of me. I have to get around them. So just like we did in all the other games, we started off with this general behavior that would get us away from the knees. So starting where the knees were very close to us, knee shield half guard, for example. And by standing up and getting outside of them, we don't have to deal with them directly. Now, this is an answer, not the only answer. Being able to get on your feet and be mobile to get that movement back so we can go left to right, in and out, makes it very difficult for that bottom player to keep track of us. We have this gentleman's agreement, this cultural convention of once we engage in guard, we stay there. Some people say how do you learn how to pass the knee shield? Why? Just stand up out of it. I don't want to stay there. Have you ever rolled with Craig Jones? That thing feels like a clamp. I don't want to be there. I want to be away from that. So, we're having struggles with, let's say, a specific position. Can we get up and out of it while still engaging? And that's what we had the experience on that. Does anyone have any comments, concerns, or questions about what they experienced?
I do. I have a really hard time when they have my ankles.
Me too.
So as the senior master, how do you?
Don't let them grab my ankles.
That's not fair. I'm not that
I'm being serious though. I know this sounds like a silly thing, you know? It's like I just call the Forrest Gump approach. Why did you put that weapon together so fast, Private Gump? Because you told me to. If something is affecting you, you don't want it to exist, you have to find a way around it. So if somebody accessing both your ankles is a problem, as we approach, we don't present both. If we feel like we are, we get them away from each other so they can't be gripped. This is easier said than done, of course. Saying it sounds easy, doing it isn't. But we showed you after. I know. 22 years and I say the same shit every day. Why didn't I pick something else? Writing, chest. All right. Now, we're going to do a similar thing, but this time we're going to start outside of the knees. I'm going to give you a condition you have to fulfill before you can win the game. So we're going to start outside of our partner's knees. I have to go from one side of my partner's body, touch it with my either shin, and then make it back. Then and only then can I win the game. So I don't care which direction I go in. I have to some way get to the other side of my partner's body and make shin to body contact. It doesn't matter which shin I make the contact with. I can go around the legs or I can go around the head. It does not matter. Just got to get to the other side. Once I make shin to body contact, I have to go back. Once I get back to the other side, my job is to try to make chest to chest or chest to back contact at any time. Hands locked. To win. We're going to have to go one side, other, and then the whole rest of the time I can be searching for chest to chest. Even if I go in and they recover, let's say for a half guard, for example, if I get chest to chest, I win the game. You guys got it? Bottom player, same as before, 2 ways to win. Get connected, make your partner hit their butt, or put them in closed guard at any time. Yeah? Let's go. Last one.
Yeah, all the way. It doesn't matter if you go north-south or toward the feet area. Once you touch, and then go back the other way again. And then chest to chest.
Side to side, chest to back, right?
Yeah. Side to side, and then back, and then chest to chest. Yeah. Okay. Start now?
Yes, start here, go there, come back, then get chest to chest.
Okay. There, I go back. Yeah. Very nice, very nice. Good stuff, good stuff. All right.
Just the back.
Start on one side. Ready?
Get to one side. Get back to your starting point. Then and only then. And you try to make chest to back contact.
Nice.
Oh, sure. Oh, what's the school district?
Very talented.
Get that capacity up.
Oh, sorry.
I was going down.
We were just going over this last night, butter stuff.
I know. I wish I was there.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you keep going.
You said the water buffalo pass.
Yeah.
The water boat.
Yeah, you're so focused on that side.
I'm pioneering.
That the swing opened up with all your weight. You're leaning this way, the stomach is went that way. So ready to try it again? Ready? That's one. I gotta go the other way. So it's all shifting in the other direction before I go.
Get your back real quick. Those of you guys who are taking notes or that video, I just want to do a quick reframe for you. And then we can open it up to questions, comments, and questions you have. To take a technique and turn it into tasks is how we can first start approaching how to turn our practice from a traditional way of doing things to a constraint-led approach practice. We do that by identifying the problem we want to solve, putting ourselves or our students as close to the solution as possible, and giving an opportunity to try to solve it. The tasks we choose are the ones that allow the things to happen. Like, for example, in the foot sweep scenario, I can't foot sweep somebody unless I can use my connections to stay connected and to touch their feet to their feet. That's what we did. Straight ankle locks. I can't break my partner's ankle unless I can keep it and hold them still while doing it. That's exactly what we did. If I want to strangle my partner from the back, I have to be able to stay behind him and lock my hands so they can't take my hands out or turn to face me. That's what we did. For guard passing, if the knees are in the way, I need to be able to get away from them and stay beyond them in order to make chest to chest to chest back contact. That's exactly what we did. So hopefully it's pretty simple to see how we can take techniques or general problems we're facing, create tasks around them to give ourselves or our students a possibility of solving it. Does this reframe make sense to you guys? Perfect. Now, of course, it's easier said than done. I've been doing this for 12 years. It feels like very normal for me now. Having said that, is there anything you guys would like to ask about your experience in general? Either your own training, coaches trying to help your students, or just shit you don't agree with. Like, man, Greg, yeah, I did this, but I still don't. You're still a moron and ready to write.
How do you define a skill? I know techniques are there, but determine like invariants that skills that revolve around invariants.
So I created sort of a definition of a skill based on stuff I was reading, and a skill is our ability to create consistent outcomes at a low energy cost in a timely manner to no detriment in the face of variation and novelty. That's how I define skill. So to simplify that, let's say I need to get my hands locked around you as the skill. I need to be able to do that consistently at a low energy cost in the time that I'm given against as many people as possible, no matter what problems they offer me to prevent it. If I can do it, again, in the face of different bodies and different times and different energy expenditures, then I could call that a skill. Yeah? Within that skill, invariants are features and functions of the interaction that must take place in order to make something happen. So for example, I can't affect somebody with my guard unless I can make and maintain connection with it. No matter what guard it is, if I can't keep my hands and feet on you and I can't move you with them, it's non-functional. So the invariant feature would be the ability to make and maintain connection with any foot, hand, knee, body position while being on the bar. Make sense to you? Also, small thing, guys. We have about 30 minutes, and again, typically when I travel, people love to ask questions, but I don't think it's rude for you not to, or it's not rude for you to leave either. If you're done, you're like, yeah, I paid for this, I'm gonna take this last 30 minutes, go stand outside in the beautiful sun, feel free. You don't have to listen to me speak. Anyway, anything else want to ask about? Yeah?
One of the big things I struggle with is teaching like small mechanics that make the difference between, like, ankle lock is a great example, between like a good ankle lock where maybe somebody understands like peeling the toes backwards and they apply a lot of pressure but not necessarily breaking pressure, and a phenomenal one where you actually have the leverage and the capability of breaking the leg. How do you apply CLA to teach the difference between the two to somebody?
There is no such thing as an idealized mechanic. The way we apply braking pressure to a leg changes day-to-day, moment-to-moment, person-to-person. Even you, when applying braking forces to different legs, you don't do it the same way twice. Even when you do it to the person, the same guy, you don't do it the same way twice. So there isn't a mechanic to be taught outside of producing effective outcomes. So the question is, can I keep your ankle? Can I hold your knees or hips still enough to get you to say tap or for your leg to snap in half. Those are all I'm concerned with. So if a person can't do it, we have to identify why they can't.
So if they have all the wider parameters fulfilled, if they're able to isolate a knee, if they're able to start like having, you know, feet on hips, knees pinned, full control over the ankle, but it's just not getting to that tapping or breaking pressure, how do you
We
scale
have to
things
define
down?
why it's not happening.
Okay.
So did you guys see the most recent clip? The ankle lock, that the big ass Brazilian dude.
Oh, yeah.
He snapped the guy's shin in half.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
That was wild. So when I think about mechanics, click on that video. He literally grabbed the dude's leg and it broke here. Poof. So you're like, well, you need to have your elbow 37 degrees below the elbow, the knuckle of the leg. Fuck that. He just grabbed his legs and yanked it off. That's a possibility. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So what's the problem? Seriously. So let's look at some small examples. I actually like this question so we can talk more about mechanics and what they actually mean. So guys in the room who resisted ankle locks, while somebody has your ankle, what's one thing you can do to reduce the pressure? So then if somebody is able to draw their toes up, what does that tell us about what we need to be doing with our pressure? Yeah, we have to put the toes down. So do you think it would be easier to get the toes down going closer to the ankle or further from the ankle? Further. Okay, so then we would know that if I feel my partner's toes be up, I have to find different ways to get on those toes, or otherwise I can't get them. What's something else that someone can do to reduce the pressure? Step up on the foot. So check this out. The trend lock, you guys have been probably watching this stuff, all the European guys are breaking people's feet, pretty cool, right? They're all covering the knee, and everyone's like, oh, you gotta cover the knee, which I told you guys to do. But why I told you to cover the knee is because of this simple relationship. Look at this thing. When he stands up, put your foot flat, keep coming up. Look at what happens to his knee as the foot gets heavy. It gets over the toes, right? If I don't let his knee come forward, he can't apply weight to his foot, which makes it more straightenable for longer. So if he's down, and I'm covering his knee, and he tries to come forward and stand on it, it's going to be difficult. That's a mechanic. I don't know to what degree. I don't know what line is important. I don't know what angle. I just know if he's not putting weight on that foot, I can apply pressure to it. Yeah? So we look at the big things that sort of must happen based on the problems we're facing. So if you had a student who everyone was standing on it, what would we try to guide him towards?
Putting him into his body.
Yeah, not letting him stand on it. And using a knee cover could be a way we could solve that problem. But beyond that, where's the mechanic? Where is it outside of the problem? 6'7", right? Who knows?
So in his example, what you're kind of saying is like, well, generally speaking, he's not getting the outcome he wants, but it's basically saying, all right, well, narrow it down to the new problem that you're running into.
Yeah.
As far as why you're not.
Yeah.
Right?
That's it. It could be real big too, because usually it is. It's something like, man, there's a relationship between knee and foot position, and so I can't let that knee get somewhere if I want to break the foot. And so how many different ways can I do that? There's also another way too. Anyone watch Mateusz Jasinski at all? Anyone see the way he solves that problem? He puts the foot behind the knee pit and lifts it up, so you can't put weight down. And then sometimes he'll cover, yeah, right? So he does not let you put weight on that foot, ever. He's a devastating strength block. Anyway. So then we just turn that to tasks. Cover your partner's knee, try to break the foot. Don't let them put the foot on the ground. Try to lift them in the air. And they have to become the tasks, you see?
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else? Yeah, please.
How would you apply this to your game if you were in a school that wasn't supportive?
I honestly, I would, if I could, I would try to find moments where I can be alone to practice my craft, right? Get friends who will stay around after class with you. Go to open mats where people will leave you alone. You know, buy a small square mat to put in your basement or your garage and just do things yourself. Like, there's nothing worse than having an overlord looking over you and you're just trying to get better at what you're interested in. You know what I mean? It's like everyone's been sharing this thing recently by Richard Feynman, who said, pursue your areas of interest and desire in the most irreverent, lawless, like open way possible. And I really believe that. If you're really interested in this, find a way to allow yourself to be interested in it with nobody telling you what to do. That's what I did. I was lucky. You know, I was a single gym owner under no affiliation. I could do what I wanted. I did a 12-year lab that I could experiment with all this shit and nobody tell me no. You know? So create that for yourself. If you're in the class, you need to have a focus, do it in live rounds. So that's what I do. Like, I don't do situations for myself anymore. So let's say me and my buddy here were about to spar, and I was like, man, I really want to work on my destabilization tactics from open guard. I would just shake his hand and get down there, and that's what I would be doing. I just put the focus that I want, and I would only do the thing that I wanted to work on.
And set constraints for yourself, even
Yeah.
if the other person doesn't have them.
Yeah, for sure. They don't even need to have knowledge of it. And eventually, I think that's where we'll all go. Like, DeAndre does it quite a bit now because he can pretty much beat anyone in the room at will all the time. So he'll do things like, I'm not going to finish this submission until I have 90 seconds left. So he'll score as many times as he can within 10 minutes. And then once 90 seconds hits, no matter where he is, he tries to sprint his way to the finish. And that's like a way he would constrain himself. And so you can do it in many different ways. But pick one.
So basically what you're saying, you're having deliberate practice whenever you fire something.
Yeah. So to be fair, if we're gonna, just real quick, I'm sorry, I don't mean to pick the language. If you're, I don't know if you're talking about Erickson's deliberate practice or just colloquially being deliberate. Okay, good. Yeah, so be intentional, right? Yeah, out of respect for him, I just don't say deliberate practice because it's a coined term. But yeah, be intentional with your practice, please. You know, all the time. Go.
Where did you like come up with, develop this like whole CLA?
Unfortunately, I didn't come up with this. Big brain thinkers did. I just looked at it like, oh, that's interesting. This was in development for over like 100 years. A bunch of different thinkers were kind of trying to figure out how people use information to move and why movements look the way they did. It started off with the basic thing like, oh, that's interesting. As people get better at a thing, variation goes up. That's weird. Why is there more variation in an expert there is in a beginner? But there's more variation, but they're getting consistent outcomes. What is that? And then their conclusion is that by engaging with the world, we use information from that engagement to guide ourselves around. The more we solve problems, the better we get at using that information to solve the problem. The variation that we see is not a bug, but a feature. So all this means is that I'm accepting that in practice. When I tell somebody to hold an ankle and put the knee down, I don't care how they do it as long as they can do it, because that's how it's gonna happen anyway. And so we just design practice with that in mind. Let people engage, let them solve problems. If they're effective, great. If variation is there and it's effective, great. We leave them alone. So I didn't think of this, I just used it. Yeah. In our sport, we had nobody doing it at a level that I am doing it. And so I was just the first guy, whatever that means, to adopt it as a whole thing. That's all. Cool. Anyone else?
Question.
Go ahead.
How do you help someone work through just their anxiety around jiu-jitsu?
Exposure. I'm a big exposure therapy kind of guy. If you are scared of somebody, I will make you go with it as much as you can mentally handle it. And I'm not gonna let you stop until you start crying. And I'll let you go stand over there in the corner and deal with it, and then the next day we're gonna start again. So truly, anxiety reduces once we can, our expectations and reality start to come closer together. I had a strong experience with anxiety. We listen to the story we tell ourselves more than we focus on the experience we're having. So by continually exposing ourselves to the experience that gives us anxiety, it helps us reframe the story that we tell ourselves, hopefully reducing that anxiety. So exposing yourself to it and just accepting that it's going to exist. You know? It's like with fatigue. So fatigue is a huge problem people deal with in the sport. Big boys, you know what I'm talking about. You will avoid it. Seriously, right? Hey, big guys, you guys know you do this too. Don't lie. When you go into an open mat, you got to grab partners. You don't look at each other. I see it. So typically, like something like that, because man, to be big in the world and move around costs a lot of fatigue. So by getting big guys comfortable, hey, you're getting tired today, go get it. After a while, they start to get used to the feeling and they embrace it. Anxiety can be something like that. You're welcome. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, being around some other CLA guys, like, I took this like year-long apprenticeship thing with Rafe Kelly. You know who that is?
I don't.
He introduced us to a lot of Rob Gray's material.
Okay.
But one thing that he brought up, he actually used to do a parkour certification with CrossFit when they first started. Anyway, something he brought up in coaching was analogy. And like when you started to grab, hey, what's one thing you could do to stop them from, and everyone's like, the boot, like a couple of people said it. So how often do you use like something, almost like a storytelling tool like that has a bunch of information packed in it? You ever play with that? Or?
Every coach has their own style, and I think metaphor and analogy are a great way to get people to do something. I have obviously a strange personality. So there are two ways that I go. I either get really nerdy and specific on language. That's why Danaher appealed to me so much when I first started learning about this stuff. I love that academic language, that strong catalog speech. I like it. So I tend to use it, but then other times I won't. But I don't talk about it with techniques. For me, I do my analogy and storytelling based on culture and emotion, the human experience. But I have a hard time, honestly, putting analogy into the mechanics. I prefer like the harsh scientific language for it.
That's interesting.
So I have a preference for it. But I think people who use analogy well, like Ellie Beckman with kids, or even Rob Gray himself, produce strong effects with it.
Yep.
I think it helps humans get past like how muddy language can be, and it puts a picture in the mind, like swing like a rainbow, or like, you know, if you're gonna use head position, act like you have horns, and you're gonna stab your partner with your horns. You know, that helps put people in alignment a little better than maybe the specific language.
Even though you get pretty forensic with the language, it seems like when you're doing coaching cues, like what we read from Rob Gray was all about cues and giving people like precise information. When you're in comp, you seem to like, or when you're cueing your partner in comp, you give them cues like just putting the foot in the ground or getting higher than the partner if they're scrambling.
So rather than use analogy, rather than use abstract, I just use what humans are doing to other humans.
Right.
Get higher than them. Lift their ankle off the ground. Put your foot down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's my preference, which is very direct, simple speech.
Oh yeah.
But again, I don't use analogy well. I wish I did, but I don't. But if you do, we'll keep working on it, man. It's good shit. Yeah.
Any other resource from Rob Gray? Because I started reading the constraints-led approach that you said, but other ones.
No, I mean, really just so it's funny, we've been speaking a lot more recently. We did like a summit thing together where we spoke at the same time, and we went out to lunch and we talked the whole time we were there. It's funny about him is I've learned most of what I understand about CLE from him. So it's almost like we're always in agreement. Rob Gray is unbiased towards him. I don't know what is about him that makes things make sense for me. So that's why I always guide people towards him, because that's my strongest resource. So I'm gonna say the same thing to you. Read the stuff he's written. I find it very powerful. I find it very convincing. I find it very clear. I find it simple. So that's what I'm always gonna say. But Keith Davids and Ian Renshaw also have stuff out there as well. So that's the area in which I would stay.
Do you have any advice on like breaking things down when your problems are like changing faster than you can identify
A
them?
wonderful question. Can you give me an example?
Like if I'm like stuck in side control and I'm like, okay, I don't really know what's wrong right now, and I don't know why I'm stuck there, but then they progress them out, and then I'm like, oh shit.
No, it's great. I think a great question, because if you're the person analyzing your own problem and you have limited experience, that can be really difficult. So you kind of had it, I'm going to go where you said, so you said they progress them out. What's something you notice when they progress them out? What does that mean for you when you're having an experience? That feels like a problem for you.
Yeah.
I'm asking you.
Oh, that feels like a problem?
What are you doing here?
That they're like gaining more control.
Yeah, but what are they doing specifically to you? Like specifically?
Like putting their knee on my belly.
Yeah.
And then
That's not silly. That's
yeah,
exactly what's
okay.
happening, right? So we could start with what's obvious. So let's say me and my partner, he's knocking the crap out of me, I don't know how to solve this problem, and I realize that he keeps taking his knee and covering his lips. Go back. All the way up, Side. The knee's a problem, right? You only go on your belly. So then maybe you start a situation where you're gonna put your hands there. You're gonna put your hands near his knee, and you're gonna have him, you say, okay, I'm just gonna have you try to mount me, and I'm not gonna let you. And you say, go, and you try to not let that knee come over. While you're not letting the knee come over, you give yourself a secondary task. I want to try to get my legs back involved. Let's say both my legs back in front. So we can start with something simple that we recognize, the knee's coming across. We can put ourselves in a situation where we try to prevent it, and then get to where we want to be. Because that's what I'm as a coach going to do for you as well. So if you're controlling yourself, you just need to find the one thing you can identify as the problem. Don't feel stupid about it either. Because I even didn't want to say it. And that was actually it. The knee? Yeah, the knee, man. It sucks. You know what's happening to you. So we have to prevent that. Every tactic that you'll see shared online, shared on YouTube, shared in a book, is going to be all about preventing that heat from coming across. So why not you start trying to do it yourself?
So just like focus on the problem that you know is gonna come like after, like.
Yeah, just focus on the problem itself. Define it. That need's coming across. I don't want it to be there. What can I put in there so that need can't come across? And then if you're really struggling, after you try to go to your coach and say, hey, this is the problem, it's coming across, what do I do about it? Then hopefully you have a good enough coach to be like, yeah, this is what we're gonna do. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
We can keep talking about it if you want. That's a great question too. That's a hard one. That's very difficult.
Yeah.
Even people with experience have to go through analyzing problems because we might not know what's causing it.
Yeah, I feel like I just always like, I might like find out what it is, and I'm like, okay, like my like hips are covered, and then like, boom, like there's that problem doesn't exist anymore, and they've done something else. I'm like, oh my god,
Just like I said, putting yourself there and making you start over every time you lose can be a way to keep facing that thing so we don't take too much. That's why we do these small games. Like you could be, if you cover my hips, you win, let's start over. That way you have to keep facing that same thing over and over again, and you don't have to worry about all the other crap that's gonna happen. And you start getting better at solving that problem, and then you do a regular round, you guys got another one, and then you just do the same thing like that.
Okay.
Yeah?
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. I'll call it. I'll hang out. You guys are there if you want. There's something going on over there. So.
Let's take a picture, guys. Let's take a picture.
Yeah. Real quick. Guys, thank you for inviting me all this way. Thank you so much.
We got a photographer. You can be in charge. Tell us where you want us.
Probably over on this back wall here. Everybody just line up. I think I'd get you. Wherever we can get in the line. Are you doing like 3 rows? Not sure. Yeah. 2 rows is fine. Okay. I'm right here. Really, my husband's here and I'm right next to him.
I'm coming.
Oh, okay. He'll be right here.
The front side.
He's over there.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, Zach.
Well, yeah, before we take a picture, guys, I want to, this is kind of overdue for Zach, but it's his first degree on his black belt. In January, but I was like, I'll be coming out for Greg Sauder Center for sure.
Where do I get mine?
Alright, good.
Yeah, thank you guys. Super quick. I'm not gonna take your guys' time, but same thing. 2 overdue people, so way overdue. And I was like, let's do it when everybody's here. We don't do a lot of community events like this, so where everybody's here. Both people, I'm just gonna go pretty fast. Both people are. My philosophy is consistency over time equal results, no matter what. So both people have been consistent over an amount of time. I believe that they should receive their blue belt. So yeah, let's start with number 1. Let's go with Kendall. It's been a minute, but he's been a day 1 guy. Like ever since we opened, he's been here. So he has worked, but he's always here, giving a good effort to our guys. Congrats. So, from Texas too. Thumbs up. Here we go.
Good.
Appreciate it, Andrew. So same thing, consistent, beating blue belts already. So I can't hold on that.
No tractions.
You guys gotta be nervous.
Alright, over here. 3, 2, 1. Alright, good. That's okay.
Here, Zach, hold this. Two. Oh. Steal my thunder, I don't have it.
If you can't see me, I can't see you.
Oh, that's a good spot. Riley, come in. Come on, where's your spot, bro?
Alright, everyone ready? Alright, 3, 2, 1, cheese. And now if everyone wants to do 3, 2, 1. Happy 4th of July. Alright.
And then we got Bernie soda bar, cookies,